welcome this morning to GMT Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser. We're talking about year 4 in administration. Our guest this morning on the program, Assemblyman Ian Y.T. Pollard. Yes, definitely. Secretary for Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development. Really happy to have him on in our company this morning. Good morning to and welcome to you, Assemblyman Ian Y.T. Pollard. I have to put in the Y.T. Pollard.
Yes, yes. Good morning, Rhea, and good morning to your viewing audience. Those on the World Wide Web. And to especially the persons in Mason Moriah. I want to humbly apologize to them for not recognizing them in the House in the last sitting on Wednesday. I know they have stood behind me for the last 5 years, since 2021, January 25th. And I humbly apologize for not recognizing them in the House. So this morning I want to say I thank the people of Mason Moriah for electing me the last 2 elections, and once given the opportunity again, I know they will elect me back into office.
All right. Very confident we see, and we're going to talk a little bit later on in the program about what you've been able to accomplish within that electoral district to have that vote of confidence that they will put you back in office. All right?
Yes.
All right, so let's get into things this morning. 4 years. 4 years you've had your feet wet, so to speak. Give us an idea of even before the 4-year period, in fact, just as you got in office, what is it about politics that you understand now that you did not understand or did not even know about when you entered the doors of politics?
It's not that I didn't know about it. I've been in politics, next year will be 50 years. I've been in politics since 10 years old, leaving primary school into high school. And, you know, from my experience, I worked mostly in the private sector. And I was always adamant that the public sector is too slow to get things done. And then when you get in there, you now realize that, whoa, this is really a snail. It's like you're on a snail back because there's so much hurdles, so much, yes. And I'm not accustomed to that pace. I'm accustomed to getting things done in the shortest possible time, especially when you're bringing relief to persons. So it was an eye-opener to me to actually see the pace that things go down. I mean, you have persons who are in this space who probably not of your political persuasion, deliberately doing things to slow you down and stopping you from delivering to the people that you're elected to serve. And that was really an eye-opener for me, and hoping, because you go in there with all the enthusiasm that everybody will come on board. It's about a life change, it's about bringing services to the people. But I guess this is the cut and thrust of politics. That's where you're going to meet wherever you go, that some persons will deliberately do things. So that was one of the things that really took me back, you know, and I wasn't accustomed to that kind of things coming from the private sector.
All right. And before politics, before walking through the halls of politics, give us a little background. What were you involved in?
Well, first, I was an athlete with the Zenith Club from age 9. I led the Tobago Cub Scout to the first Caribbean Cabaret held in Barbados. I was a footballer with Signal Senior Comprehensive, winning major trophies like the Intercol title, the Sprite title, the League Cup. I played for Sinclair Coaching School.
That was back in the day.
Those were the days. I coached Mason Hall from a football team. At the tender age of 18, I was started as their coach. I went abroad on football scholarship, where I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and a Bachelor of Arts in Economics. I actually, next 9 days will be 38 years. I had my heart surgery and continued playing sports no matter what. And
alive and well.
Alive and kicking. And I've always been involved in my community. In everything that we do in the community, I've always been alive. They're supporting in any way. You know, the Mason Football Club, getting them promoted to the Premiership Division for the first time in history in Tobago. And then always having a love for politics, always want to serve, but always wanted to do it from in the background. But when I was approached by our then leader, Mr. Watson Duke, on several occasions, and Mr. Augustine, you know, I shied away a bit, and then I usually get up in the morning like 3 o'clock, look at the different situations, and started to count from house to house how many votes I'll collect. Because I know I'm a household name on the north, because everybody knows who is this black man they call Whitey.
The black man that they call Whitey. That's right.
Yeah, so I was always looking at the perspective of, okay.
Is that how you got the name?
I got the name in first form in 1977, but I wouldn't get into that at this,
But
at this
I'm
point.
sure viewers have always been interested. How did the black man get the name Whitey?
Yes, they have always been everywhere in the world that I went. They are always interested, but I've always had a love for politics and serving the people because I think Tobago we deserve better, and we need leaders in our community that will actually give rise to persons, accentuate into higher levels in their lives. But I mean, nothing happened before time because I understand that since way back, I came back in '92 after graduating, worked with Mr. Hochoy Charles, worked with Ashwood Jack, and then I thought it was time now to throw my hat into the ring. But I know I was confident from day one. And the people of Mason Almara, they supported me, and I thank them. I thank them so much for trusting and believing in me. We have started a journey, and I would like us to continue because we have not accomplished all that was set to accomplish.
What was one lesson that you learned having served under Hochoy Charles, the late Hochoy Charles?
Well, the kind of belief he had in Tobagonian, the belief that you have to have, because I walked from Palatine to Mason with Mr. Charles, Mr. Jack, and I, Ashwood Jack, as young men. But this love, this desire to see Tobago on its own, that we could run our island on our own. And that is still the forefront of my mind from his teaching, because from the days of Mr. Robbins in 1976, we could stand on our own. We just have to believe. We're going to fall, we're going to bruise our knees, we're going to bruise our elbows, but we're going to get it right, like any other island who's on their own. Now you're hearing about oil and gas finds off the coast of Castara. Millions of dollars. Imagine what that could do for us here, instead of just getting a percentage. So we just have to believe as a people that we could do it. We have enough educated persons abroad, we have educated persons here, that we could chart the course for a better future for our young ones, our future generation.
Okay.
So I wish that the day will come that we wouldn't have to get a percentage of a budget, but we could actually run our own house. Okay. But for the meantime, we'll take it step by step, and eventually we will get there.
All right. We're still interested in how you got the name Whitey.
I'll have to come back on the next show to let you know.
We want to get that. We so want to get that. All right. Excuse me. We're going to get right into things at this point. Now, Assemblyman or Secretary Pollard, back in March of 2022, you had announced a draw of almost 70 parcels of land at Belgarden, Blenheim, and Riceland, with a goal of delivering over 500 parcels of land and houses. Looking back, how many parcels, houses were actually delivered, and what caused any shortfall?
Well, interesting. I've been able. The division, we are able to give out 200 parcels of land thus far.
And this is 200 of the
lands, not housing, just lands.
Okay.
Because I just gave out some last Friday. And we are hoping to start construction in 2 housing sites, 130 units at Riceland and 120 units at Adventure. Now, you're coming into office and you're thinking that, okay, the monies will be available for you to accomplish these goals. But it was a plot and plan of the PNM to not fund us to construct these homes, because I've been in settlements for almost 4 years, and the PNM government gave me $4 million in 4 years. In 2012, the PNM received from the People's Partnership Government $108 million to construct homes for Tobago and Tobagonians. Now it's PNM here, People's Partnership in Trinidad. Now it's TPP here, PNM in Trinidad, and refuse. And in the meantime, $2.something billion was spent in housing in Trinidad in the last 4 years. So I want Tobagonians to understand that, to hear me and hear me well. And to add insult to injury, I came into office and there was a grant by the IDB to the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And one of the reasons why they approved the grant is that they had to do a project in Tobago. And the PNM government at that time, administration led by their leader here in Tobago, they identified the Riceland housing project. Rhea, $20 million was given to the central government to do the housing in Tobago. and it was withheld from the Tobago House of Assembly. It's only in the advent of the UNC in office that Minister Sawat Singh made it known that the $20 million US dollars is still in Trinidad, and they were about to move it, had they win election, to do two projects in Trinidad, one in Diego Martin and I think one some further in the east.
And you're saying nothing for Tobago?
Nothing for Tobago was planned. So the money is there. We have to utilize it before April of next year. Otherwise, it will go back to the IDB. So now they are making all arrangements through the Chief Secretary and the Secretary for Finance so that funding could come. That is delaying Tobagoans from getting homes. It was supposed to do the infrastructure of that project. So Tobagoans, we have a database of almost 10,000 persons. And you're denying Tobago 20 million US that was just sitting there languishing in Trinidad. And we are here you give us $4 million over 4 years.
Certainly some questions to be asked there.
Yeah, well, that is water under the bridge for me. I hope that the minister could make the money available in the morning, because what we did, seeing the delay, we have sent out that same project for a design build finance, where the contractor will bring his own money into the space. And a contractor have been selected. The contract has not been signed as yet, but as soon as it's signed, it will take 20 months to deliver these 130 units for persons here in Tobago at Riseland.
20 months.
20 months.
And this is a promise. This is a promise you are sitting here making to the people of Tobago?
This is something that will be written in the contract. 20 months to deliver 130 townhouse units. Because
what location?
For Riseland.
Riseland.
We cannot afford to give everyone a single unit, 5,000 square feet. We have 10,000 persons. We have but so much lands.
Right.
So Tobagoans have to get to that place where, you have townhouses, you have duplexes, you have high-rise.
And that is unheard of for Tobago.
That is unheard of, but that is what, because...
And that's the direction
that's the direction we have to go to. Because you have young persons getting married and have to put on a room downstairs, their parents' home, and you cannot be a man or a woman living home by your in-laws. I always say it.
Very true.
You go on your own and you'll have your ups and downs, but you sit down there and you trash out what you have to trash out without a third party getting involved. So Tobagoans have to get to that. Another place Tobagoans have to get to is the use of alternative material. We cannot use concrete and steel. It is too expensive. And the world is moving ahead. Guyana is flourishing with these alternative material homes.
How does this stand against, God forbid, a hurricane?
It is tested against hurricane. It is tested against earthquake. So it's not just any material you're bringing, but these materials are tested.
So this falls under low income?
Low income homes. Yeah. But what do we call low income? We are trying to keep it under 500,000 or 600,000. But now to construct, the cheapest unit we are constructing now will be about 800,000. And mind you, for a house of around $1 million, Mr. Bobby Andrews from the Planning Division has done the calculation. You have to have a salary of over $23,000 a month to afford that. How many Tobagoans are working for $23,000 a month? So we're in a catch-22, we're in a bind. And especially, what about those persons on the lower level income bracket? The CPEP, the RRP workers, afford? That is it.
So automatically it would exclude a certain...
And that is why we have to come up with measures to provide for these persons on the lower end.
Okay.
I have quite a few suggestions because we have been approached by many contractors who could do things cheaper, faster in the space. But I think a home is a home. People will accept anything at this point in time. Not shoddily built. Once it is built and designed hastily...
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
I know that it's better, because you have the complaints that $3,000, $3,500 per month. It's better they pay their own mortgage.
Are there checks? What has your division, what measures has your division put in place to ensure, even as you mentioned here, $3,000, $3,500, there is a mortgage to be paid by these homeowners, yes? Has that been happening, one? And what measures are in place to ensure that it happens? Well,
we at this point in time, I'm here advocating today because we are at the advanced stage of each contract that persons go and get pre-qualified by their financial institution. You see, what used to happen before is that everybody's thrown into the pool and a draw is made. But some persons are pre-qualified for $250,000, but your unit might cost $500,000. So when your name come up, you're all happy.
However,
but when reality hits that you cannot afford, you are taken out of that and given the house or the parcel of land is given to somebody who could afford.
So your name goes back into the pool.
It goes back into the pool. But what I've implemented is that, with the blessing of the Executive Council, is if the units are costing 800,000, only persons who are qualified for 800,000 and above will be in the draw.
Okay.
I am not about the prospect of mama guying persons or giving you that inflated feeling of happiness that, okay, man, I got piece of land, I got a unit, and you cannot afford to pay it. Okay. We just have to devise means for those persons who are under the sale price of these units to provide for them.
But are there measures in place to ensure that persons pay this mortgage? In years gone by, when we talked housing in Trinidad and Tobago, and this may have been before Tobago was exposed to that, because people in Tobago grew up with land. Mm-hmm. Grandpa left land, yes. So mommy build here, uncle build there, and you got a piece in the back of mommy say, well, there's a piece down in the back, right? That's right, yours, so yes. That's yours. So we are now being familiarized with the idea of low-income houses and having to pay that type of mortgage. What measures are in place by your division to ensure that persons who have been successful adhere to the rules and regulations? And
well, they don't pay to the division. You see, what we do is that they go and secure their mortgage.
Right.
So all we give to the contractor is a list of pre-qualified persons. The bank pays for the home, and then they now start to repay the bank.
All of this is dealt through the bank?
Bank, yes.
Everything is done through the bank. Money lending agencies?
Yes, whatever institution. So that is why I'm telling persons from this morning, go and get your pre-qualification done. I've had meeting with nurses, defense force, fire services, a number of persons, and to the general public who normally comes into the office to see me. Go and get pre-qualified. Okay. See how much you qualify for, to see if your name will be put in this drawer, and bring in this information so we could now add you. Even though you're around 700,000, we're asking persons to go and get pre-qualified, because if the units are going to take 20 months,
you have time.
You have time. And I try to advise persons, Rhea, do not be persuaded to purchase a motor car at this point in time if you are looking for a home. Put off buying the chair set and the new fridge for Christmas.
See the bigger picture.
According to old people, canter with what you have. And put things in place so that you could afford yourself or make yourself available so that you could be selected for one of these units.
All right. But we're going to continue chatting, viewers, this morning. It is Straight Talk, No Chaser, Beneath the Surface with Assemblyman Ian Whitey Pollard. Join us just after the break. Viewers, welcome back this morning. It is Beneath the Surface, Straight Talk, No Chaser. Still chatting this morning with Assemblyman Ian Whitey Pollard. Now, Assemblyman Pollard, when you came into office under the PDP ticket, you then moved to the TPT ticket. The slogan back then was, the electoral slogan back then was, "Let we fix it."
Yes, it was.
What did you have to fix within the Assembly that made that slogan even more valid for you?
Well, like I said, it was visionary by the then leader, Mr. Watson Duke, that all the shortcomings that we saw when you were on the outside, that the former regime was not providing to the people of Tobago. Mm-hmm. And coming into office, I went to a division that had no structure, didn't have no policy, or even though the policies were outdated. So coming and have to restructure and to change things to a modern functioning THA, you had to get the buy-in by some folks. Some folks gave the resistance, but it's something that we had to do because there are so many things that had to be fixed here that we think that Tobago was being shortchanged. And had we gotten the financial assistance from the central government then, we would have been able to adjust most of these things. But because we were woefully underfunded, some of them are still yet to be fixed. But I know under the new slogan, making Tobago the greatest little island on the planet, we are we're getting much more buying by everyone because you have a sense of pride. Because words do have power, words do have value. Mm-hmm. And that is more encouraging, and we hope that everybody could buy into it that someday to make this place the greatest little island on the planet.
All right. Let's talk about some of the accomplishments. Two of your major accomplishments within the division. What would those two be?
Well, so far, Rhea, as customary events, we have been able to distribute over $22 million in grants to the people of Tobago. We have fostered relation with Habitat for Humanity.
And these are home repairs?
These are home repairs, almost 3 million. I think I got a message yesterday from Ms. Masai, the regional director, because we are embarking on a program where we want to work along with self-help, URP, and Habitat for Humanity to do lots more home repairs, roof repairs at a value that probably $30,000 or $40,000. So we're hoping to improve the homes of persons here in Tobago, because some persons are living in a deplorable condition. And the establishment of the Tobago Urban and Rural Housing Company, headed by Ms. Alicia Duke, who I must say I'm very proud of the entire board of directors, because it's hard running a company with all the employees employed in other divisions in the THA. It's not like EIDCOT, who has private citizens running that company. So you have these board of directors having to do their works in their division and now have to come to run this company. But they have grown leaps and bounds. So we are at the stage where we are of doing 3 contracts before the election, before the election is called, comes up on us, whenever that is. But we're hoping that these 3 contracts could be offered, issued, so we could start works. Because once the contract is signed, Rhea, I want to say to the Tobago public this morning, under the Executive Council, or guidance from the Executive Council, we will draw for every unit that would be built to 250 units. Because Tobagonians, it's time that you be happy, time you feel comfortable in your land, that you own piece of Tobago. So we're not going to wait until the units are constructed. A draw will be held in December for all 250 housing units and for the 50 parcels of lands in Adelphi and Masonol. So we're going to have 300 happy families in Tobago, and could be more before the election comes upon us.
All right. And that's something, you said that's happening in December?
Yes. Once the contract is signed, the draw will be done.
You say it almost as though persons can take it to the bank.
Of course, because that's the mandate we got from the Chief Secretary. It has to be done. Because in Trinidad, you have developments taking place, and before they even scratch the ground, the draw is issued. We are not waiting. And what the mandate we have for the contractors, we are not building and keeping homes to distribute in no grand fanfare. You build 20 units, they are complete, we give them out. So persons could even move in right away into these units. Okay. So I'm saying within 20 months after the construction starts, these units will be drawn for.
Okay. I want to go back a little bit to the grants here. Now, you've publicly raised concerns about the misallocation of grants. And, for example, vehicles being brought with grants intended for home improvement. Give us an idea this morning, what internal controls or audit mechanisms or sanctions were introduced under your leadership to reduce abuse or leakages? Well,
I have had serious meetings with my engineering aides, who usually go out and do the inspection of the persons who are requesting these grants. And they follow up, because whenever you ask for the grant, you issue the check to make sure that the work is being done. And their feet have to be held to the fire, because they are the one to ensure that public's money is being spent properly. Yeah. Sometimes when I met there, the process was a bit lengthy. So I know that some families might have gone ahead and started to do their own things before they received the checks. And we know that some things may pop up. Okay, you have hungry kids at home. You just received a check for $25,000. You will obviously take some of that to provide grocery. But the onus is upon the engineering aides at the division to make sure that the work that is being done, that the money was given for, is being done.
Yes.
And it's a bit, we made that situation where it fall down, where some of the engineering aides probably haven't followed up on the situation. So we have their feet being held to the fire now that they must report, they must follow through with these persons who are requesting these grants. We can't eliminate everything, because up to recently, it happened where someone was confiding in someone that he applied for this grant and he's going to take it and buy a motor car. When my assistant secretary heard it, he was fuming mad, because you wonder why people are doing this, and persons who really need the grant, they're not reaching. But I traveled to Jamaica and St. Vincent to look at the housing program, and Rhea, those countries you receive one grant, to renovate your home, maybe, I don't know what the dollar value, maybe let's say about $50,000, $60,000, and you're out of the system. The onus is upon you to maintain your home. But we have persons who have constructed a home from the settlements division. Every 5 years, they're back into the system looking for a grant.
So how do we mitigate against this type of activity?
Well, it's a policy that has to be taken. It's a policy that
it should be a one-time use.
It should be that is
whether for building or repairs.
Yes, it should be, because you have more and more people falling through this level of poverty in Tobago. But if you want, you just got a grant to change the ceiling. You want to change your windows to French windows, you apply for a grant to get. No. What about the person whose children are falling through the floor? What about the person who rain is coming through the ceiling and wetting them?
It should be on a needs basis, a priority.
Yes. And that is how it's supposed to be. But it was a program that was abused from before. You know that persons in Tobago here, certain persons used to collect $100,000 grant check coming up from Trinidad, but for certain individuals. Not through the system of this settlement division. So we are trying all how to mitigate it.
Is this under the current?
No, under the former.
Oh, okay.
Because
you need it to be clear.
Yes, under the former regime. But we are trying to make it equitable. We are trying to make it that you get your grants in 21 days, your first grant, so that you could buy your material. We are even studying Rhea to take the entire grant, purchase the material, give you to purchase the material, make the checks out to the hardware, and you pay the labor.
That's also an option.
That's also an option to mitigate the fact that persons are using the funds to do something that they shouldn't be doing. But that will have to be an executive decision. And we are looking at that because we can't have person abusing public funds.
Okay. Now, I know that I did ask you about two of the major accomplishments. You mentioned one of them being the grants program. And what would be the second?
The establishment of the housing company. Because divisions or ministries don't construct homes. It was so relevant at this point in time to introduce a company on the landscape that will deal with housing. They could focus on housing because that is a growing need about Tobago, because a home is an essential thing. A housing is necessary. And we cannot just sit here every year, get $1 million each under each of the grants program. That is not for housing. So now that we have that in the space, I think that is a great accomplishment for this dispensation, the TPP, that we could have a company solely concentrating on the construction of homes. Because, mind you, Rhea, these two housing developments in Riseland and in Sherburne and Adventure, $300 million will be brought into the space in Tobago, beside what our budgetary allocation would be. So it will bode well for some of the contractors, some of the plumbers, the laborers, the truck drivers, the equipment owners. But these people are bringing their money into the space. So that will add to whatever we have as a budgetary allocation into the land space. And there are so many other contractors and developers who are willing to come into the space to spend their own money.
Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about public utilities here now. The Public Utilities Department within your division is mandated to facilitate efficient delivery of services, including rural electrification. What have been the major improvements in utility service delivery, electricity, street lighting, water, inspection, certification, under your watch, especially in remote and underserved communities?
Well, we are doing our best, because I would like to say to Tobago this morning, since I've been at the division, our budgetary allocation for electrification and street lighting has been $500,000 each line item. So I get $500,000 for street lighting, $500,000 for electrification. Now, mind you, from Delaford to Charlottesville, electrification costs $987,000. And you only allocated $500,000. So the Chief Secretary, in his infinite wisdom, used some of his funding from under his OCS and did that. We're also looking at lighting from Mount Dillon Hill right into Castara. But how much could $500,000 do?
How far can I get you?
How far did it really get you? So we still have to go through the normal process of after we pay for these jobs, Trinidad has to give the permission for these jobs to be carried out. So we are hoping that we could shorten that time because persons are really in need, but we are doing the best with what little we are given. And it is woefully inadequate. I had discussion with the minister in my first meeting, and he's willing to partner with us, even though our budgetary allocation is only 500,000 to see what could be needed. Because we see some beach area that we think that illegal activities that take place. No lights, King Peter Bay Road, Golden Lane. We need to put electricity in these places.
I'm passionate about Windward Road.
Of course. Even
Studley Park.
even some of the street lights on the road, because the repairs of the street light, we don't have to pay it. It's done automatically by TNTech. But you find, I don't know, with the surge in electricity these days, a lot of the street lamps are not working.
Yeah.
So we do have monthly meeting with Mr. Giles and Mr. McCarthy and their team about bringing all these issues. But like I say, it's the availability of things coming to Tobago. But we have a good relationship with Minister Pollard. So we hope to adjust all these things that we could at least bring relief to persons. We are working on the relationship with WASA because, you know, they, just like us, are suffering for underfunding. Because up to this morning, the manager called me and asked me if I could get a backhoe and a truck to send to lend him. There's a big leak at the food hub. I told him, advised him to call Secretary James because he has equipment under his division that could do that. But what is happening is that the contractors that they would hire in Tobago, because of shortage in funding, cannot pay these guys and they're withholding their services.
Right.
So we have to work together in order to deliver these services to Tobago and Tobagoan. So it's a funding issue. It's about utilization, but we're hoping that we could get the assistance from a friendly central government now that we could get these things done.
Okay. And we have the issue here of WASA water shortages. In chatting with our Assistant Secretary Tate, it's a lot.
It is not going to get better.
So what measures can be put in place? Now, you're saying here it's not going to get better.
No, because from where I sit here, I grew up in Masonol, and we have most of the rivers passing through Masonol. But you will see moss in the river in the dry season. You know that the water supply is getting low. But recently I was at Colon River and I'm seeing moss in the river in the rainy season. So it's telling me next dry season. In fact, we can't control the weather anymore because this global warming. So the dry season might be more rain than we got in the rainy season.
That's right.
But from my knowledge, I know it might be tough, and I try to encourage persons buy water tanks. Because as Mr. Williams often said, the water level from WASA is falling in Tobago. We have talks of doing some desal plants, because I know they're going to do one in Charlottesville. I had talks with Minister Pollard about doing two more. We must do one in Studley Park area. That, as Mr. Williams suggested, will feed the Hillsborough Dam, and we could pipe it down to Kong Point, down to the western end of the island. So it's need for these desal plants throughout Tobago at this point in time. Okay. Because we cannot be thinking of all these development, be it housing, hotels, car racing facility, and don't have water.
Go ahead.
Many days I have to call Mr. Williams at WASA and say, listen, the people at Store Bay are looking to close their shop and we have to refund them for the day's sales or whatever activities because there's no water. And he has to hustle to send truckborne water down to Crown Point. But in planning all these big projects coming on stream, we have to have adequate water supply.
Okay. All right. Very quickly here, what are some of the measures you have put in place for to ensure customer satisfaction or citizen feedback for the utilities component?
Well, they could. What we have is that you could always come in and speak to the utilities unit is not fully built out because there's just Miss Delia, Jerry, and probably one other staff. But as we are transitioning to do other things, I think we did a note so we could have a full complement of staff, so the public could address whatever concerns they have. Okay. But for now, we only have 2 members of staff in that unit, and we're hoping that with the start of the new year, that we could have more staff to deal with most of the concerns of Tobago and relate with WASA or TNTech of their concerns.
Okay. And we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, viewers, we want to hear a little bit more about what's been happening within the electoral district. All right. Assemblyman Pollard will share with us as well. We want to have an idea of some of the regrets and maybe some of the goals should he be re-elected. And of course, the grade that he would give himself at this point in time after the 4-year period. All right. So join us after the break. It is still Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser. Viewers, welcome back this morning to GMT's Beneath the Surface. Straight talk, no chaser. Year 4, chatting with Assemblyman Ian Whitey Pollard. Now, just before we took the break, of course, we were talking about some of the accomplishments within the division. We'd like to have an idea now at this point about some of the accomplishments within the electoral district. Mason Hall, Mariah, let's talk a little bit about that, Assemblyman Pollard. What do you have to blow your horn about, your own horn about within the electoral district? What is now in place that did not exist before your 4-year term?
Well, we have the flagship project in what I call the north side, Mason Hall, Mariah, is the King Peter Bay Hill Road that had 192 steps.
That almost went for, not almost. Quite a few assemblymen have spoken on.
Yes, and they still said that no steps couldn't be constructed there, or no road couldn't be constructed there. But in my first advent, and in 2020, when I started campaigning, first time I've been up to Bay Hill, and I owed to the persons that a road will be constructed after we get into office. When it was 6-6, my good friend and colleague, my schoolmate, Secretary James, I took him there because I was a project manager, and I asked him, do you think we could construct a road here? He said, Pollard, that road could go anywhere. And once we got into office, come December 6th, it was one of the first projects because the road started caving in and person couldn't access their homes on the hill. And for those persons or those assemblymen who passed or representatives before me who said no road can go there now, some of them are now driving, going up there and asking these residents for their votes, to vote for them. But these were the same persons who told them that nothing could happen there. So it's all in the will of you, the individual, that you could get things done. So King Peter Bay Hill is one of the major accomplishments on the books, but there are many things that this representative have been doing behind the scenes because I'm not a social media junkie, Rhea. I do things quietly behind the scenes. My persons in my electoral district that had to go for heart surgery, that I fund, I assist their kids, I assist the kids. I made oaths to them to make contribution, and I did. Persons that can't afford food stuff that I sent to some of them I don't even know that I sent to the village supermarkets that I pay for. I have a running tab. At the end of the month, I take my money, I go to the supermarket owners or the store owners and pay up the bills because they are persons in need.
What sort of effect does that have on your pocket? Unless your pocket is a bottomless pit.
It takes a real effect on my pocket, but you know that it's all I believe in is by giving you receive. I've grown up with that mantra. And even the football league that I run in Mason Hall and that I part sponsor in Mariah over the last 3 years, I spent $175,000 out of my pocket.
Wow.
To bring the community together, one, and to encourage economic and financial activity within the community. Because some of these same single mothers or single fathers come out in the night, they sell soccer bag, they sneak their chance, they sell a little carib, they sell nuts. It is a burden off the THA. And the kind of money that they're making, and some of them even make so much money that they come and contribute because on nights I will sponsor drinks and popcorns for kids. And some of these same vendors will buy buckets of ice cream and distribute to the kids. And it's a pride and joy to see the number of kids at halftime out on that field playing. And the families are so good, they're grateful to come out in their numbers. So that's why it's one of the best leagues in Tobago at this point in time because it brings the community together. I don't ask the community for assistance because the shop owners in the community, they credit a lot of goods to some of these same persons. Some of them may be bad debt. So I don't want to double dip into these little profit. So I do it out of my pocket. One of the goals was that the Mason Hall Mariah team, one of the teams from those areas could be in the football league, but so far they have not taken up that challenge of being in the Tobago Football League. So that's one of the disappointment I have because I'm spending money hoping that there is a goal that sports could be revived in Mason Hall Mariah. But I hope that one day that one of the villages decide that they must enter the TFA Football League. But I'm going to continue supporting whatever endeavors it is to keep the community together.
If you receive the resources right now to do or complete any one project within your electoral district, what would it be?
I would do a lot of home repairs, brace wall home repairs, because you would surprise how some people are living within my community. I encourage them to access the grant, to come and try to access the grant, but I will do home repairs because it is much needed. But there are some things that have on the drawing board that we hope that will come to fruition very soon, to the benefit not only of the people of Maidstone, but the people of Tobago. But there are lots of things that we have done. The Lenhan crew, I must say, big up to the Lenhan crew this morning, because these are men and women that give up their time, their skill, their monies, because everything we do it out of our pockets. Everywhere you see that we are cutting the grass or fixing a step, or we are about to go and plaster someone's home, it is out of our pockets. And these guys leave their family on Saturday, Sunday, any day of the week that we get the call that, okay, this person needs help. And it is for, I'm seeing that a lot of persons saying that we are only going by who we want. It was aimed to assist single mothers and senior citizens. There's a senior citizen in my area, not too far from my home, that was charged $2,000 to cut their yard. Now they're taking home $3,500 in old age pension.
Oh my God.
So we will go, before we embarked on that project, he got friends to come and do it. But once the yard is going up again, we'll go and do it for free. And these are the things that we are doing.
Taking care of the seniors.
And the single mothers. You can't be a healthy, strong young man in your home and your yard need that cleaning and you can't get a brush cutter to at least help yourself. But the mothers out there are the ones out there crying. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones that really need the help. We can't say that we wouldn't come and help you whether you're a male, but the focus right now is senior citizen and single mothers.
All right. Now question, if you had a fresh term starting today, what would you do differently or to deliver more effectively?
That's a tough one, Rhea. But I guess I would just hunker down on the mandate given to me, because you try to be all inclusive, and some persons don't buy into your vision, don't buy into your dream, but you get the right fit actually to execute some of these mandates that you are given. But I'll just look for, we are lacking some capacity in the space. Look for the persons that could fill that capacity, that could help you execute the mandate you are given by the Chief Secretary or the people of Tobago. Okay.
What grade would you give yourself at this time in terms of your level of delivery, your level of performance, A to F?
What?
A to F. A, B, C, D, E, or F. F is fail.
No, but with the limited resources that I received, I will give myself a B. Because for having the smallest division in the THA, for having 10 administrators in less than 4 years, every time someone comes is a start over. And the fact that I'm a team player, because Rhea and to the wider Tobago, everywhere in Tobago needs fixing. I'm a team player. We cannot fix everybody at the same time. I've waited my time. I bide my time. I've waited. I'm playing along with the team. There are lots of things that we want done in the area. I always say Maidstone Moria was starved under the PNM for 21 years. 12 years under Mr. Ashwood Drack, and 8 years under Mr. Sheldon Cunningham. I was looking this morning when I got up about 3 o'clock. The only community that doesn't have a multipurpose center is Maidstone Moria. Go through your minds. We have two of the oldest community centers in Tobago.
Is that one of the plans should you be re-elected?
Of course, because I've met with the persons from Mariah, the village council group, the sporting group, and the center. They have outgrown the usefulness of the center. It's on the road, there's no place to park. And we have a plan right now to move the center down to the football field. Build a fire substation down there. Put a heritage site down there so that the heritage festivity, the whole time wedding could be held down at the field.
So it has a home.
There's lots of lands down there that could be used. Building more pavilions down there. There's even plan for a swimming pool down at the Mariah football field.
Because I know there's been a running joke that Miss Noel has no beach.
We gotta get a pool. We gotta get a pool somewhere. But we are even the children in the Adventist church. I pay the pan tutor to go there and teach the children pan. But I do a lot of my works quietly. It's not everything that you show to the public. And that's the kind of person I am. That's the kind of representative I am. Some person saying they're not seeing me and I'm dead. You don't have to see me. Persons in the community are feeling me because they will reach out to me.
You rather they feel you
than they see me.
Than they see you. Feel the effects of what you do.
Because when you see, they're seeing it happening and they don't know. I'm not out there one who running on social media and put up everything. No. If I'm helping you, I'm helping you. I do things quietly. Sometimes my team around me now, the Lennon crew, they were angry with me. You do so much things and people not seeing it. I said, why do I want the world to see it? Because look, we are congratulated worldwide by persons who I don't even know for the work we are doing. I was condemned by the leader of the other party for not running and lending hand to people. But I saw persons in that he's selected to contest against me going out there lending hand today. They look awkward holding a cutlass. They look like they can't hold a rake properly, but they follow suit. But we lead, others follow.
And I'm glad that you raised that issue here. We see three other persons within your party, throwing their hat into the ring, offering themselves up for nomination. How do you feel about that?
It's a constitutional right to do so. I have no problem. I went into that when no one wanted to do it because they were afraid of losing. And now that the door has been opened, it gives everybody the right to put their hats forward. But may the best man win. But my work speaks for itself. And I don't want to be like kind of condemning person for throwing their hat in the ring. I encourage them to throw it. One of the persons who threw their hat in the ring, we had a meeting and I gave her advice because Rhea, as I said earlier, next year is 50 years I'm in the politics. I know the ins and outs. I know the pros and cons. And what we need in Tobago is leaders. We are lacking leaders in Tobago. So if you could get people molded, come through the chute, as I did from 1976, somewhere down the road when I step out from this game, when I step out, if I'm not selected, somebody has to take up the mantle. But I'm not afraid of competition because I have done what I could do with the limited resources, as I said. And one of the things I want to let the people of Maesnall, Mariah know, especially Maesnall, the Adelphi estate on the left-hand side coming into Maesnall, comprised of 144 acres, valued by the Valuation Department of Trinidad and Tobago at a cost of 30.5 million TT, that is under CLICO. In our meeting last week with the Prime Minister and the Executive, I brought it to the attention of the Prime Minister that it needs to be acquired for village expansion in Maesnall. There's a lot of historical sites down there. We could do farming, we could do housing, we could do so many things with 144 acres. She immediately turned to the Minister of Lands, Mr. Adam Hussein, and said, get moving on that. Because I gave them the package of the valuation that was done by the Valuation Department of Trinidad, what was done by the Senior State Council, the deed and everything like that. And the debt could be written off against CLICO, because CLICO is indebted to the state of $13.4 billion. So once that is done, I hope Minister Saddam Hussein, I spoke to him on Tuesday night in Trinidad, that once it is placed on the cabinet note, he will send us a copy that they're in the process of acquiring that 144 acres for village expansion. People will know that there's a site there that I selected for a fuel station for the north side. Economic activity has to happen on the north side because if you look at it, the inner cities are dying. Many shops at Broadwood in Mariah are closing down. We have to generate some economic activity in the north. And the north doesn't start in Castara. It starts from Mount Grace, come all the way up.
I want to ask you here very quickly here about the relationship between central government and the THA, particularly your division and the ministry in Trinidad. The working relationship between the ministry and the THA, the division.
It has been 1,000 times better than what we had before of the previous or the PNM government. The relationship is phenomenal now. We won't get it right because the debt to GDP ratio is like 82%. So there's limited funding. In
your opinion, what was the issue under the previous administration?
Because of politicking. And it goes back to the example I gave earlier. How could you, in your conscience, have $20 million to give us to construct homes for Tobagonian, and you held on to it, and then looking to go and do 2 projects in Trinidad? Remember, That is something that's repeated. Because remember, we received an EU grant in the 90s for the link road from Lansome to Charlottesville. That was taken back by the Patrick Manning regime to build the Brian Promenade. So it's not new that Tobago and Tobagoans have to suffer under PNM. There's nothing new. So the relationship is leaps and bounds better. I mean, we could interact. There's no defensive wall put up. We have open discussion, and I'm hoping that only regret I have, Rhea, is that upon us assuming office in 2021, December, that the general election in Trinidad was in 2022. And the government changed because Tobagonians would have benefited. And if they did that to my division, imagine what else that they held back from the people of Tobago. And it's all in an effort to let this dispensation look bad that we cannot deliver, because they know once we put our heads to the task, we'll get it done. Look at Secretary James with that new road. Look at the obstacles PNM people in Tobago are putting. Injunction after injunction stopping. Right now, everybody's lauding Secretary James and this dispensation that they could get from Stumpy to the airport in 5 minutes.
With ease.
With ease. So this is just a fraction, but that is my only regret. But nothing is never too late. God knows the timing of everything. And I know the TPP will win the next election with the central government in office. If there's exploration of the oil and gas there and revenue increases, it will only bode better for the people of Tobago.
You said are you sure that's your only regret, or is there another regret that you have maybe over the 4-year period?
No, I have no regret. Every misstep, every mishaps is a learning process. Because Rhea, we all went into government as OJTs. We are learning. Some persons will carry around the merry-go-round tree and just dance you. But now that you have a better understanding how government works, you get your feet finally wet. We have an election upon our doors. But there's no regret, because you learn, you know that these tricks cannot be tried upon you anymore. Because you understand the system and all the roadblocks put in your place that you could know what to sidestep and exercise your authority when you have to, or try to bring people on board to make sure that the service is delivered. But I don't see anything as regret. Only I regret that we didn't have the money to do what is needed for the people of Tobago. But now that we have a chance, we intend to do it. But like I said, I am hoping and praying that before the election date is announced, or before we face another election, that Adelphi Estate the process will start to acquire for village expansion, because we have about 70 families living on it that needs regularization. And I was speaking to them directly this morning.
Speak directly.
Directly to you all on Adelphi Estate. I call it Adelphi Estate South on the left-hand side. Relief is coming, and it is coming sooner than you think. That you could get your own deed in your hand so you could face the financial institution to do improvement on your property. And those in my community and other parts of Tobago looking for a place to call home, because Mason-Mora is the fastest growing electoral district. We are the biggest population-wise. And we just had another increase since last election of over 200 persons. Moving into Mason. So imagine with the availability of lands, 144 acres of lands in Mason-Mora. And the people, the residents of Mason, the young men and women, could now own a piece of land. We could only sell land at $15 a square foot. The government. So imagine buying 5,000 square feet of land for $75,000. Now we could have men and women in their home to call that their own piece of Tobago, because there's a saying, he who owns the land owns the country. And I want to give people of Mason and Mora that opportunity, and Tobagonians that opportunity to own their own piece of land, to own piece of this paradise. And that way, once we own it, everybody will come together to make this the greatest little island on the planet.
Now, final question here. In fact, what would you like to say to the people of your electoral district at this point, even as we are heading into an election period? Why is YT the best choice?
YT is the best choice because you know YT as a worker. I have your interests at heart. I could do some things better because no one is perfect where communication is concerned, but I like to solve a lot of problems, probably on my own and stuff like that, or with the few people around me. But I think that I've proven my worth. Not everybody everything could have been done in 4 years. As everyone knows, there are some persons who have some personal issues that they didn't get this done. But that could be said for people throughout the whole of Tobago, that they didn't get it done. And I know the urge because they think that because they support the party, that you should be placed in priority. But there are some people who are in worse condition than you. And eventually we will get to you. So I have proven my word to the people of Mayston. I continue to work. Mayston Moriah, I work for you. I'm always a phone call away. Sometimes I send some of my trusted friends to do whatever is needed to be done out there. I may not always come, but I have the best interests of the persons of Mayston Moriah at heart.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for chatting with us and for speaking to the people of Tobago today. Viewers, it was a pleasure, having you join us and having us, in your living rooms for this entire week. We want to thank you so much for being with us, Assemblyman. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you.
All right, and to all the other Assemblymen who were able to be on our program last week, this week, we say thank you. We look forward to a very interesting week next week. Beneath the Surface, Straight Talk, No Chaser. And we're going to be ending things off with the Chief Secretary coming up on Friday. Well, viewers, thank you for joining us. Have a great day, a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you on Monday. Be blessed. Bye-bye.